Hi guys, I wanted to talk to you outside today, surrounded by all this immense power. We're talking torque, baby. And I am having my second smoke, probably in 10 years. I hate cigarettes, and I'm not telling you to smoke, but someone left these Swisher Sweets, so I'm not really smoking too much of it, just chomping on it. I'm going to talk about a subject that never seems to get old, and that is Revolver versus Auto, Snubs versus Micro 9s or Micro 380s as backup guns, and I'm just going to riff, because that's what I do. And you guys will actually watch and interact more with this than when I spend a ton of money doing my 25-round realistic CCW test and teaching you how to do it, dry fire your way through it. Once you're safe to do so, live fire, stuff that will actually keep you alive. And those videos aren't doing good, and that's too bad for me because I wanted to do a major pistol study. 25 plus. I've done more than 25, but over this next year, you're going to see 25 different pistols, platform, striker versus DASA versus revolvers, different calibers, 380, 38, 9, 40, 45, red dot versus iron sights, and you're going to, does it really matter? And how much of a difference does any difference make? So I wish you would actually watch those videos, but let's talk about snubs. Let's talk about revolver carry versus auto carry. Okay, there's a lot of benefits and negatives to a snub-nose or any revolver, really. At least 10 major ones that I'm going to hit you up probably in a future plan video. I'm hoping to eventually get some outdoor range usage and maybe remake my best attempt at a Paul Harrell double action revolvers, kind of 1 and 2 at least. So it depends on your life. Like, what do you do? Are you older now and you don't go out at night and you're in a safe podunk town? Hey, it's like my snubby, wherever I go, he always goes. That's probably the best way to the real experts to approaching snub versus revolver, meaning that most of the real experts and tuned-on guys, they tend to carry a lightweight snub-nose revolver in their pocket, 38 special primarily, though 32 mag is getting more popular, and Gun Sam does a 327 Federal Mag LCR. But when they go out into town or they're going out and about, they also put on a auto on the belt, whether that's a G26 or a macro pistol like I often subscribe to, or a real, maybe a bigger subcompact, anything that has a 9C in the name kind of thing, or a 40C in the name, or a S or something like that. That's kind of the best way to approach it. Now, if all you're doing is playing with kids and you're worried about that and stuff, and you got a snub in your pocket, is it better than nothing? Yeah. It's better than the guy who only puts on a 1911 once a week. If you carry every day, follow your ABCs. Always be carrying. I told stories that they repressed. None of you watched, even though some pretty wild stories on my defensive gun use stories. Some defensive displays or a couple draws and things like that. You got to read between the lines a little bit, but it can happen anytime. It can be two guys, one wearing body armor. It can be a guy with an AK pistol. It could be a guy pulling a rifle out of a truck. It could be 5 would-be carjackers. In the daylight, you never know your situation. It's not, things have changed. It's not always nighttime and whatever. Now, handgun terminal ballistics suck. And even if they didn't suck, regardless of the caliber matters a bit sometimes. But going by like Hrfunk's data, it's more than 2 shots put down people, average. So I got to round that up to 3. And if you only got a 5-shot snub, are you just assuming in the hardest to shoot platform with the hardest to see sights and the lightest weight platform with the heaviest trigger, which means you throw shots, you're going to make 100% hit ratio? Nobody makes 100% hit ratios, and definitely not in the critically anatomically significant stuff. You might wing the guy in the leg, in the shoulder, like that. That's not a physiological fight stopper. It's more important to always carry ABCs, always be carrying EDC, everyday carry. But like I said, the kind of older LE guys, retired guys, they tend to do pocket carry snub, and I have a video on 9 reasons to pocket carry. You might want to look at it, ask rebuttal. And unless you're in New Mexico, you carry a second gun on your belt. Now, it could be 2 revolvers if you're in lower threat, whatever. If you want to put on like a 5 or 6 shot, I use a 6-shot 856 Ultralight. I prefer 6 to 5. The cylinder width difference is so small. Maybe because I'm a bigger guy, but it's like, man, come on. The original Snub was a Colt Detective Special, the same exact size as a Taurus 856. The cylinder width difference is so tiny to get that 6 and possibly very all-important round. Because you can go 2-2-2, you know, if there's 3 bad guys, or 2-2, cover your retreat and reevaluate, and, you know, you're not holding your wing in your hand. So I just filmed some backup gun qualifications. They're hard to find, but you probably won't see this for a year from now. But backup gun qualifications. Why? Because I'm a time traveler in case something happens to me. Though I'm a very safe person and nothing should befall me. Hopefully it's a nice, clear, sunny sky behind you, which is not at all what it was like last weekend. But you know, just in case, I've actually was really sick and didn't shoot for about a week and a half. So I had to skip a week, and my hand's been bad, and that is a disability thing. It's usually up here in this finger, and it's been horribly sore and bad, and it's just finally going away. But I did backup gun videos, doing backup gun qualifications, both with my 856 Ultralight and my other backup gun, the Ruger Max 9 Pro. Things started off pretty good. I did the LAPD qual. First time in my life with the Ruger Max 9 Pro. Then I did it again with a 22 long rifle snub to get some trigger time. And then working on all weak side, by the way. So I treated those qualifications when they said strong hand only, I did my weak hand only. And when they said weak hand only, I did the opposite. Why? Because I carry primary this or this, depending working, not working, if you get what I mean. And the other deadly force tool is to my weak side or weak hand, so or you know, weak hand only. So I have a deadly force tool available to either hand. It just makes a lot of sense to me. If I'm going to a backup gun, it might be because I drew my primary and I got a shot in the gun, I got a shot in the arm, you know, stabbed here in a gun grapple, CQB, and I can draw the other one, you know, as I'm fending, that kind of thing. So snub, and then I did Mississippi's. I think that's what, yeah. Then I did Mississippi's with the 856. And then I was doing some more stuff. Then I did should be, I might have to refilm it, an easy Lioso 8-round qual. It's not officially a Lioso, but Ohio does it because state mandate doesn't say a specific one. So some people do this really easy Lioso qual. On all the qualifications, your goal really should be 65% of par time. I said that before, and then shooting it, I said it, yeah. So I was always 65, about 70% of par time, and that was even kind of a slow cadence for me, depending on what the qualification zones are. LAPD is a B8, and some other ones are like only, you know, 8, 9, 10 rings count. But anyway, the snubby, the revolver. I never thought 5 or 6 was enough to deal with the hard to kill bipedal man. We are hard to kill creatures. It's not about, it's hard to stop because your goal is to stop, right? So you don't care if it's a 22 LR and they bleed out later. You don't care about that. You care about stopping the deadly force actions right away. Even if it was a single attacker, a lone attacker, 5 or 6 rounds in your hypothetical situation with your awesome 100% hit ratio for you guys that obviously train once a week and not really like 4 times a year like you actually do. Even then, it's not a great physiological stopper unless you hit the CNS. And even the heart is an 8 to 15 second, depending on a ton of factors, before their BP drops enough. They go down, and hopefully they don't get back up, recovering from BP shock. I've talked about that quite a bit, something no one's focusing on. So even if it was a lone attacker, there's no guarantees, especially when typically people in real gunfights have a 20% hit ratio, okay? Is something better than nothing? Yeah. And if you're a revolver guy, I've always preached Jim Cirillo, New York Reload, and even that's a 2.5 to 4 second lag to get the, you know, unless you're carrying cross draw, you know, tombstone style, unless, you know, it takes a while to get the backup gun into play. And you got to be working on that weak side only shooting, which is what I've been doing. because, you know, I need to at farther distances and things like that. And you should be too, because you never know what's going to happen to your primary arm. So there's the thoughts. So capacity matters. Absolutely. Especially when the thugs of yesteryear, of today, are not the thugs of yesteryear carrying 32 Lawsons that are going to jam. They're carrying Glocks with switches and 33 round magazines. Now that's probably if you live in a decontrolled city, but it is a reality. And 2019 FBI stats, I believe it was 2019, it was already up exponentially. Multiple attackers was already 1/3 of attacks. Do you remember 2020? I do. It's kind of been a lot worse since, and with judges that let people out without even bail. So yeah. So it could very well be multiple attackers, and I always say you got to be prepared for 3 now, unless they're actively trying to kill you. If there's more than 3 bad guys, I'm not getting in that gunfight, you know, even if I'm in a store. But I try to avoid stores and gas stations. You got to fill up, but I usually don't go in. You know, bad things happen, and you better have good awareness skills. But if I got a 5-shot snub or one of those micro 380s that are so popular now, and that's all you start carrying, because man, my bodyguard 2.0 was so easy to carry. Well, when 3 guys actively are engaging you at the gas pump or inside a store, or they're active killing, the little 380 is not what you want to go to. Okay. Now in the summertime, a longer barreled 380 with good hollow points, my Beretta 84 BB might get occasional carry time to the nicer areas, because ballistically, a t-shirt and an undershirt, it's still going to expand and probably go deep enough for non-law enforcement, non-vehicle purposes. Hopefully some of you stayed tuned. The Max 9 got through a couple quals, and guess what started happening? I did a 9mm grain weight doesn't matter video. I've done another one because I wanted to show it in a little micro pistol with my pinky dangling with the flat magazine, so it would show more recoil. I did 115 versus 124 versus 147 Blazer, so it was all equal, and said that, you know, it might jam on 147 because you can tell it's a longer overall length, and I knew that pistol has some issues with if the bullet overall, the cartridge's overall length is a little too long. So it happened a couple times. Chalked it up to the 147 ammo that I predicted. Okay, no big deal. And then towards the end of the day, once it's getting dirtier and maybe it hasn't been fully disassembled and cleaned, it's been my cheat wiped down and some oil on the rails, jamming. Usually on the 3rd round out of the magazine. That's a pretty important round. I did contact Ruger. I believe they're going to send me. I'm like, hey, you know, I don't want to send it in. I work on security. It's actually on file with my state. I need a new recoil spring and a new magazine or two. And they said they'd send me 110 round magazine and a new recoil spring. So hopefully Ruger comes through again, because they did once in the past. They're like, have you? I'm like, yeah, about 6 years ago, I used their customer service, and they did right by me. So, see, Beretta, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I got jammed. So it was the 6 for sure-ish. And actually my Ultralight started it's a little looser. And I was only shooting 130 FMJ. They weren't even plus P. But it seems like I got more play in the cylinder and even cocking the hammer and really, while pulling the trigger like really full back. I got a little more slop. Not necessarily in shake, I guess think is this way, but more slop this way. And shit, it probably only saw 50 rounds. I went through 50 rounds. But it shot them all. Where the Max 9, I mean, like, it wasn't clearing. A couple of them I had to like smack hard tap rack bang, not tap rack bang. Like I had to really smack, and somehow that sent it home. I don't know. So that debate's always open. The best rule for most people, if you're in a revolver, is I'll probably carry a snub all the time. My rule number 1 gun, my Taurus 856 Ultralight. And if I eventually got to get another one, I'll get another one, because I can put my access night sight on it using code Dan the Wolfman and save yourself 15% off. And guess what? I asked for no money from that. I just get some of these, I get codes like that. I'm like, no, just give it to them. Like, cool. Just like, it gets you your first order. Okay, and you can put that on it. And especially if you're aging and you're thinking about snubby life, because I don't go, I'm in bed by 8 p.m. and I don't go to bars and I don't go to clubs and that kind of thing. Well, all right. Snubby considerations. Who are they better for? The not going out of battery thing, typically, It really is such a low percentage, even though there's LARPers and little tiny guys with high school level wrestling and 1990s blue belt jiu-jitsu LARPing with people and charging lots of money. It's not that likely. I'm the guy that should be teaching the classes and making money. It's not that likely. However, and that's looking at ASP, watching over 50,000 videos. There's sometimes an arm entanglement. From he's drawing, you're drawing, there's a little parry or a little sleeve grab and they pull away. There's not a full-on John Wick entangled gunjutsu fight, typically. However, if you are elderly in a near a decontrolled city or something like that, or there's, you know, teenage gangs kind of thing, the knockout game thing could still happen. And then you got teenagers kicking you when you're down. You got a broken hip. You're elderly. That is a disparity of force, right? They're trying to kill you. They're kicking you on the ground. So that's, if you're in the elderly category, or you're in a frail or disabled category, or you're more likely to maybe the not going out of the battery thing. Rideshare drivers, not going out of battery. Fighting in a car with guns, that might be important, you know, when you're at close distance, so the slide doesn't get, you may, you know, with that auto, you might get one off and then a grab happens there. Nothing, man. It's much harder. Untrained people are going to think about grabbing the cylinder or shoving the web of your hand into, if it's got an exposed hammer, falling, that kind of thing. Women, joggers especially. Up around me, I think it was only a few years ago, a woman was sexually assaulted on a jogging path, kind of in a park, right? So guys can hide and wait at parking lots, behind cars, behind bushes, on college campuses, that kind of thing. Especially if you're jogging in your little tight pants. Girls, get those special yoga pants, and maybe then the J-frame, the OCR, the 856 Ultralight. Something like that might do you well. But we do live in a world where active bad guys happen. We do live in a world where even one bad guy might take more than 6 hits. Oh, no, that's not true. Okay, let me tell you about gunfighter Bob Stash, Chicago PD. His first ever gunfight, and I might have him backwards, I believe him and his partner both unloaded their cylinders. I think it was 538s into the guy's torso and 6 45 Colts. And you would think, a couple 45 Colts, big old bullet, man, big old heavy bullet, he was going to go down. The guy was still fighting. I don't know if he had a knife or a crowbar or a screwdriver. I forget the details off the top of my head. But people are hard to stop. It's all central nervous system. Outside of that, it's creating as much blood loss as possible to drop their blood pressure, so they start going, oh man, you shot me, if I've been shot, and then they start like getting woozy, and you see them bend over and kneel down, and that takes a while. Civilian defensive gun use, usually longer than that, but in law enforcement shootings, you do see this kind of thing. So the really experienced guys are always armed. They carry snub around the house and playing with the grandkids and going to the park, going to the mailbox, taking out the garbage, walking to the local park, maybe. Okay. But they're going into town, they put on a subcompact or a macro, or at least like a micro 365 Shield Plus, something like that. So that tends to be how most, unless you really live in the sticks. And if you really live in the sticks, yeah, do that. Snub in your pocket all the time, and then you're walking woods gun. Gun Sam's 4.2 inch 327 Federal Magnum Ruger SP101 with his 100 grain XTP hand loads that go 18 inches, can handle 2-legged or 4-legged defense just fine. Yeah, you live out in the sticks, that sounds pretty good. Or Dick Fairburn talking about he's finally going to move to a more freer state than Illinois with those corrupt people and get somewhere a little more freer, and then, man, by golly, he might be carrying a 5-shot 44 special. Well, if you live in the woods and you're not by the hoods, maybe. But as long as you always have it, and that's kind of, some people is more comfortable in the pocket and they trust it, they don't like, even though a Kydex holster, Striker 9 with a dingus, not a 365, but it's something with the dingus like my Max 9. But then again, I got some jabs, so it's 5 or 6 for sure, better than the slab-sided auto. Do you like that rounded big booty profile of a revolver? I don't know, guys. But while it's going to get really cold again in a little bit here and tonight, but while it was a little bit nice, and I was doing something super rare for me, I thought it'd be an interesting background. You guys don't necessarily get to see these behemoths that often. But hopefully something to think of. So don't be that guy that only carries occasionally and only trains and doesn't even train. That's just target shooting to get back some semblance. At 50 rounds, there's no warm-ups in a defensive gun use. Okay. So stuff to think about. You might want to embrace the snubby rule number 1 lifestyle and don't get lazy and then put on a slab-sided auto. Or 2 revolvers, the Woods defense gun and the OE's gun. Or a more capable steel frame revolver. You got K6S, SDR, 8.56 Defenders. I mean, there's a lot to choose from now. Old Colt Detectives like Black Beauty. You need to look at all my playlists, man, and check it out. Hope you guys are doing good. I hope the world's turning a little bit better. Hope it stays a little bit decent today. And so that was a complete ramble on revolvers or semi-autos and why the best answer is often probably carrying one of each. So something for you to think about. Or two revolvers. To me, it's my new 7-shot Ultralight because I don't like heavyweight. I'm getting older, so that's one of my old man guns. My 7-shot 38 with the 8.56 Ultralight 6-shot as the backup. I'm probably okay. I'm probably okay unless I'm really going to like a downtown bad area or something like that. But the active threat and terrorist threat, that's there. You might want a more capable auto. It's easier to make hits at distance and stuff like that. Make sure you're doing a weak side shooting, guys, and your strong hand only shooting as well. And, limp wrist malfunctions. And I'm a big guy, and I was even using a 2-handed hold in my little Micro 9. So that's the point I'm going to finish it. The Micro 9s and the little 380s, guys, they are more likely to, anything interferes with that slide. If you don't lubricate it every 3 months, if it gets dirty, which after 150 rounds, a micro is dirty, and a compact block or whatever, you can go 1,000 rounds. Well, 150 rounds of one of the little Micro 9s, man, they get really dirty inside. So proper PMC, mostly lube, but like actually there's a lot of gun residue in there, gunpowder residue. You need to clean that stuff more frequently, and they may jam more frequently. And so like just relying on one of those itty bitty ones, that's not best either, just being lazy. And I think a lot of people are doing that now. Look at my blaster with my TLR and my red dot and my full size, and then you're only carrying a 380 if at all. So stop trying to be psychic. I mean, you actually should try to be psychic, but don't only carry downtown at night. Because trust me, mine have happened in all kinds of weird circumstances, and you have no idea when the time may come. So I'm sure people clicked off at 4 minutes and 58 seconds, but hopefully you comment more because it's about interaction. So these talking videos seem to get more than well-produced, expensive ammo costs and making a full video for you guys. And really, just dry fire my 25-round realistics. Learn how the position's been elbow stepping back, thinking about how you react, because you're creating better responses. You're creating narrow pathways instead of, oh my God, this is really happening. What do I do? You would respond more appropriately at different distances or to different threats. Or if it's a multiple adversary type thing, you see, I do that even at different distances and stuff. I'm trying to keep good people alive. And so try to be a protector and keep the people around you safe, guys. And at least when you get a nice day, even though it's going to get really cold later, try and appreciate it. Please subscribe, comment down below, look at my playlist, catch you on the flip side.